Hello everyone, welcome to the AgileCast. As you all know that AgileCast is a podcast series presented by Xebia Agile Community of Consulting and Transformation named as XACT, which is a community of seasoned and passionate Agile coaches, Scrum Masters and Product Owners. As a part of XACT, we publish blogs, articles, white papers, with the key focus on learning and knowledge sharing across the Agile network and community. And we have been hosting meetups, webinars, annual conferences named as Agile NCR. Now we are going to host our 11th edition of Agile NCR live virtual conference, which is going to be held on 28th and 29th of November 2020 for all the Agile enthusiasts. That's a brief about the Xebia and XACT community. Now, I'm going to take the opportunity to introduce myself. I am Neha Sahyogi, working here as a senior Agile consultant in Xebia. So today, with the help of this podcast, I would like to share my experience on how to run Scrum events effectively in a remote working environment. So, would like to start with common familiar moments and expressions which we face almost every day in our every remote meeting or conference or any other connect. These are like, can you hear me? Am I audible? You're on mute. You're not audible. Can you see my screen? Could you please repeat that? I'm sure you must heard about all these things, but now at this moment of time, we have been adapted to live with it, just like it's a new normal and becoming the part of our life now and became the part of our life. So, as we all know that Agile has always been more focused about co-located teams, about direct communication, maintaining physical Scrum or Kanban boards, and being a Scrum Master, I also used to facilitate the Scrum events with the help of physical cards like sticky notes, index cards, poker cards, and with the help of whiteboards with different colors of sketch pens for co-located teams. But now time has changed completely and everybody is working remotely. So no hybrid meetings anymore, which consist an equal distribution of people's bandwidth. For an example, few people are attending ceremonies as in person and few joined through video conferencing. So it's becoming very easy to attend all these online on a common channel, and we are bound to use some common approaches for both distributed and co-located teams. Hence, it is very important to rethink and reinvent the facilitation ideas and various techniques to run Scrum ceremonies in a remote environment. For any team which has started working remotely, it's needed to create working agreement first while educating about netiquettes. So, as a first step, it's a time to revise the team working agreements. What's that? So as we all switched into the new working, which is the remote working style, so we need to make some new adjustments accordingly. Like, now everyone needs to use their cameras for various Scrum ceremonies and redefining our golden working hours. I would like to take the example of the photographer here. So photographer always prefers to capture the beautiful landscape just before and after the sunset and sunrise. So he knows the golden hours where he can capture some panoramic views and different hues of nature. Just like this, as a team, we can redefine our core working hours where we can embrace and utilize our skills to become more productive and more focused without being interrupted by anything else. And these ways of working need to redefined, discussed and communicated clearly and transparently across the teams on the basis of mutual agreement between team members, and other that you can put, and after that basically you can put these new norms on the shared location or anywhere which is easily visible or accessible by team members. Like you can put it on the Confluence page, you can put there and where people can refer basically. So I've tried these things with my teams and it worked well in order to foster a conversation on what the team expects from each other while all working remotely, and will keep team members committed and accountable towards a common goal. So just like the netiquette is a code of good behavior on the internet. So it's a quite new term. I was reading one article where I got to know about this term. So I got an idea, like we should utilize that netiquette, right? So we should encourage our team members to make sure that everyone is aware of netiquette, like mute yourself if you are having some significant background noise and unmute when needed. So these are just like the basic etiquettes which we need to work effective. Few tricks to run DSM effectively. So trick and tip number 1, which is video always on during every ceremony. As I've told you earlier that we have to agree on that. We have to make some ground rule so that we can be more interactive over cameras, right? So video always on during every ceremony means we should start with a video conferencing to keep everyone engaged. Some people might deny it, might deny coming on camera, but gradually they'll start interacting on cam. It's a people tendency, it's a people mindset. Everybody will be not, in that position to come online and start interacting with the other people. So we should focus on that. Tip number 2 is when you should start daily scrum with mood check-ins where everyone can express their mood of the day. You can conduct this activity by using some smileys or just asking the simple question like, how are you feeling today? It only takes few seconds, but it will work like a wonder. If you ask or if you start your daily scrum like this, people will start enjoying it gradually. Tip number 3, you can share Jira or any other planning board to keep in front of everyone and educate team members to talk to each other on the stories, subtasks, by telling the progress made along with adding ahead or behind the scheduled sentence with respect to story, subtask or any other item. For an example, I'm working on this story and I've completed this story yesterday and I'm planning to work on this particular item, and this is as per the schedule, right? So in that way you can communicate it, so you will get early sign of whether that story is going to be complete in a sprint or not. Other team members can have the idea about it. Tip number 4 is just like in person daily scrum, educate the team members to stay focused and keep it within 15 minutes, including all the hiccups and network issues in between. So in starting, you must keep an eye on the time boxing of the event because it is very necessary. Right, because there is a purpose behind the scrum ceremonies to keep it in time boxed, right? So we should take that. Another point will be, since people are not together in the office, so being a scrum master, you need to foster more facilitation and more coordination in order to resolve impediments and dependencies. For doing this, you can create an impediment board to capture all the dependencies, blocker issues, and you can share it across the team so that everyone should familiar about these and collaborate more towards to resolve these issues ASAP. So here I've just explained few tips and tricks which could be work like a medicine in a daily scrum. Just like daily scrum, we can effectively facilitate sprint planning, sprint review and sprint retrospective as well. As you all know that time boxing for these events are 8 hours for sprint planning, 4 hours for sprint review and 3 hours for retrospective This is for the 1 month sprint and it is shorter for the shorter sprint as per Scrum guide. Hence, we can use some common tips to make these Scrum events more effective and more productive. So now I'm going to share top 5 tips which I have tried and I found these very useful. Tip number 1. Spend enough time to prepare. Preparation is always a key for any successful meeting, conference, event, right? So if people come into the meeting unprepared or without reading the agenda, then meeting most likely will be unproductive. So it will become so important from the facilitation point of view. So you need to be prepared in advance and you should spend significant amount of time in thinking and preparing the set of questions. For an example, how are you going to facilitate the discussion as a Scrum Master? What kind of techniques you are going to use in the meeting or in the event or in the ceremony? What kind of questions you are going to ask participants, or how would you going to engage them in the discussion so that it would be more productive? What kind of outcomes you are expecting from that ceremony? Like these. And also you should plan a little extra time to ensure things are ready and easily available when needed. Tip number 2. Set working agreements upfront. The discussion might become very unproductive or very quickly if you don't set the right expectations upfront, like what kind of behavior you expect from people during meetings in virtual setup, because you might not be able to see the other people, or people might have some different working condition, different setups at their homes. So you must ensure that people are engaged 100% by setting some ground rules for the meetings upfront, by taking consent from the participants only. For just like no other chit chats or meeting should be allowed at the same time. Participants are not allowed to do any pending work. So in that way, they will be more focused during the Scrum ceremonies. Tip number 3. Since engagement is the key, hence you must make sure that people are engaged during the events. For that, you can conduct some games in between or as per need. For an example, you can start a sprint retrospective with the icebreaker session. The same techniques or any agile game you can introduce at the time of sprint review and sprint planning as well. Tip number 4. Keeping short planning sessions encourage focus. Always plan to have a short session, and if this is not possible, then introduce regular breaks in between. It could be 10 minutes break in every 1 hour session, or it could be 10 minutes break in every 45 minute session as per mutual agreement between the participant. Tip number 5. Try to keep recording of sprint planning and sprint review to ensure that no one gets left behind, and if someone is absent, then he or she can simply refer the same recording. In that way, if any stakeholder missed that sprint review, he or she might be able to see the recording and he would be able to give their feedbacks or amendments if something is missed. At last but not the least, you have to take care of your people. People are asset to any organization. It's obvious that they might start facing some trouble working in remote hours due to any reasons. Since this pandemic impacted us badly in terms of health, in terms of society, in terms of mental illness, in terms of economically. So now it's everyone's responsibility to take care of each other in this tough time. So here, by showing the servant leadership qualities, we as a SM or an agile coach or leader, we have to make sure that our team is happy. We have to do regular touch base with each team member individually You can do it throughout the week or at least one in a sprint as per the pace of your project. So have a quick call with the team members, make them understand, make them realize them that you are with them only. Arrange some tea, coffee sessions with them, connect at lunchtime on a video call, make them feel that they are not alone, you are with them. Ask their challenges, try to unblock their hidden potential, encourage them to be open, be courageous, be trusted and respected, and I'm sure people will understand your intent and will try to make a better version of themselves. They only need a little bit of motivation. So here you have to play the role of motivator here. So at the end, would like to remind one thing, which is always remember, tools and technologies alone cannot fix all coordination and communication issues. So it's an essential to use right toolkit in order to gain true attention of our knowledge workers. Thanks for listening. Have a good day and keep scrumming.